We start with our Newsmaker segment and talk with Eric Rogers of Bike Walk KC. Last week's panel weighed in on the idea of adding bike lanes to Kansas City streets, and there did not seem to be strong support. Of course, there are many people who do like the concept of bike lanes and see them as a beneficial addition to Kansas City. And certainly Eric Rogers, Executive Director of Bike Walk KC, is one of them, and he will now tell us why, I hope. Mr. Rogers? How's your neighborhood, Mr. Rogers?
It's great.
Eric, welcome to Ruckus. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
If someone knows nothing about your organization, Bike Walk KC, what can you tell them in a few seconds that would describe it?
We are a local small nonprofit that works to make it safer and more comfortable and easier to get around the city and however you want to, whether it's walking, biking, using public transit. We work in dozens of elementary schools across the region to educate kids. We work with public policymakers in local city halls, and we do a variety of activities to build community and really help redefine our streets as places for people to build a culture of active living.
When you say bike, is that all inclusive for two-wheeled vehicles?
Yes. It could be a bike, it could be a tricycle if you're an older person. We talk about scooters now, really anything that is a different way of getting around.
And I think your organization wants the City Council to adopt what is being called a master bike plan. What is the essence of it? How is it described?
So the bike plan is really the result of a performance audit that the city auditor did a couple years ago and found that the city's entire approach to mobility issues was broken and we needed to start over. And so now we have this new plan that has been drafted, and it sets out a vision of what things could look like in 30 years. It has a network of what are called low-stress bike routes. So places you can bike to get from your home, say, to work or the grocery store or school, and have a place where you are safe, protected from cars, and you feel comfortable getting there.
So you see bikes as something more than you use for recreational purposes?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's on the increase. So we know from the census data that here in Kansas City, biking to work in particular has gone up 20% since the 90s, and it's actually gone up 130% since just 2016.
Do you know what that would mean in terms of people, what the number would be?
Oh, I was told there'd be no math here, Mike,
well.
I'm sure the viewers can do math on their own. But
so
it
you
is
don't
a
know,
growing
you don't
segment
know
of
how
people,
many.
and in many parts of the community, it's a very large segment. So there are parts of downtown, the west side, historic northeast, and the east side, where it could be up to 10 or 15% of people are walking and biking. And these are especially neighborhoods where more than half of households may not have access to a car. So we're talking about very vulnerable populations who really have no other way to get to work or school than walking, biking, or transit. And so those are really the folks that we try to focus on and support.
Well, there are some news reports that say the cost of the master plan would be $400 million to implement. And you've pushed back on that, I think.
Absolutely.
Let me quote from your website. The estimated cost of the plan ranges from $387 million to $418 million, but this price tag must be placed in the proper context. What is the proper context?
Yeah, so the bike plan actually provided a range of prices from somewhere around $150 million up to $400 million. And that price was really only if we would go out and overnight rebuild all of the streets from the ground up to add in bike lanes. And of course, we're never gonna do that. We can see from a lot of other cities, places around us like St. Louis, Omaha, Wichita, where they do it much less expensively by doing things like incorporating bike lanes when you do the normal repaving of a street. And so the actual price we see around the country is much, much lower.
And if somebody wants to know more about the plan and about your organization, you have a website?
Yeah, our website is bikewalkkc.org.
And one final quick question. I know a lot of the focus is on Kansas City, Missouri, but what about other parts of the metro area?
Other parts of the metro area are really embracing alternative transportation for the health benefits, especially economic benefits. We know that folks that arrive at a business walking or biking are likely to visit more often, spend more money. A lot of places around the country that put in bike lanes see business sales tax receipts go up. So a city like Overland Park is really probably at the forefront in our region. They're adding something like 20 or 30 miles of bike routes every year.
So your group is metro-wide.
We are metro-wide. We work in elementary schools on both sides of the state line. We work in city halls all over the region.
All right, thanks very much for coming in. Sorry about the math question.
We'll
exclude that
okay.
next time. All right,
Thank
sir.
you so much.
Thank you. That is Eric Rogers. He is Executive Director of Bike Walk KC. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus.